Robert, the Premier League season is about to kick off, and here are five players I think you should watch out for. You can let me know your thoughts, whether you agree or disagree. There's going to be a mixture between some of the big six clubs, but also the other clubs in the Premier League, and you can let me know your thoughts. If you want me to do a part two, let me know, and I can certainly do that. But the first player that I'm going to talk about is Morgan Gibbs White from Nottingham Forest. I think he's a really, really exciting player. I think every time I watch him, he excites me. He can play in a multitude of positions. Look at some of the positions he's played: centre mid, attacking midfielder, striker, left wing, left mid, and right winger. The definition of versatile. Very, very good player. If Forest are going to do well, as they did, in Europe last season, in the Premier League in the last couple of seasons, I think Morgan Gibbs White is going to be a really exciting player for them. You're looking at someone, as I said, the versatility is obvious, but he's very good on the ball, can come up with a moment of magic. He's a leader. I think he's a very, very exciting player. And I think Nottingham Forest, as I said, they've lost Elliot Anderson. They're going to lose probably more big players. They've got a new manager in Glasner. I think, you have to be excited under the new project, and I think he will be a player that will excel. Obviously, be very gutted that he didn't get into that World Cup squad, and that will probably be fuel now to form those good performances coming up. But yeah, I think he's a really good player, and I do think he will do well under Oliver Glasner. He'll get the best out of the players, whether that is in an inside 10 position or in a different sort of position. I think he will do very, very well. And as I said, the goal contributions speak for itself. Last season in the Premier League, he started 35 out of 37 matches he was involved in, which again, the availability is impressive. He got 15 goals and 4 assists. Very, very good for a player in that quality. To get 15 goals playing for Nottingham Forest, no disrespect to them, is impressive. And as I said, technically he's very good. His off the ball work is very good. Puts a lot of work in for the team that doesn't go unnoticed, I think, among the Forest fans. And again, I think he's going to be one of those players that probably will get 15 goals again. And if he doesn't move to a big Premier League club this summer, I definitely do think it will be next summer. Spurs are already linked. Let's see what happens with him. The second player I've gone for is Morgan Rogers. Now, again, never attacking player. I think he's going to have a really impressive season. I think, you look at last season at Villa, if you can just put that form into what we've seen at Villa, at Chelsea, I think they have a really good player, and I'm very excited by his performances. I think he's a top talent. Someone that obviously they did spend a lot of money on, coming in from Aston Villa. However, let's see if that investment is worth it. Chelsea are not scared to spend big money on players. They've done it before. They have three, from what I can off the top of my head remember, 300 million plus players in Enzo Fernandez, Caicedo, and Morgan Rogers. Lukaku was in and around that fee as well. So they're not afraid to spend big. I think Morgan Rogers is definitely worth taking that risk on. He's got Prem experience, he's got quality, he has a good relationship with, Cole Palmer, and I think he's going to be someone that again can get better and better. And in that inside 10 position, I think that's where he thrives, because it's not left winger, but it's also not cam. It's kind of in between that sort of position, and I think he will do very well there. For me, he's a really exciting player. Can carry the ball well, defends well, capable of a moment of magic as well. Now, number 3, I've gone Murillo. I know he's another Forest player, but he's a centre back that I really just do like. If I'm looking at centre backs that has that quality now to play for United and Arsenal and Liverpool, those sort of players, I think it will be Murillo. I think he's fantastic. What he's done at Forest in the time that he's been there, what he's done in the Premier League, I think he's a really talented player and someone that does have that quality. If I look at centre backs, he's definitely top 10 in the Premier League in my opinion. I think he's really, really good and very underrated. I think if you look at the qualities, might not be the best aerially, however, very good technically. And I think he's, as I said, capable of playing for a big Premier League club. Now, for Liverpool, I've gone, well, not for Liverpool in particular, I wasn't, but for a Liverpool player, I've gone Florian Wirtz. Now, could have went Ekitike, could have went Isak. I think Florian Wirtz is going to be someone that has a big season. Now, last season wasn't the greatest for him. He couldn't get into, well, he was in the team, but he couldn't get, that consistent run going. And I think a lot of his performances were very stinky. Now, he did cost over £100 million, and there's a lot of expectation on him. I get that. However, I think he has to deliver now. I think it's a big season under Iraola. I think Iraola will get the best out of this sort of player. I think for me, it's clear that he's not a left winger. He's an inside, or not an inside 10, but a number 10. And again, I'm sure he'll thrive, whether that is, as I said, with Isak, with Ekitike, whether they bring in Barcola, they've already got Engamoa, they've got top players around him. And I think a lot of his performances were good. It was just that final product that wasn't clicking for him. But I think he will be a big player. Now, another player that I want to talk about lastly is Max Dalman. I think Max Dalman's a really exciting player, still only 16 years of age, has already won a Premier League, put in some big moments for Arsenal in the time that he was there. And I think he's gonna be someone that does get better with age. You look at Arsenal, Saka, in terms of injuries, they have got the better of him in the last couple of seasons. I think, honestly, I'd rather play Max Dalman than Madueke. And I think he is a really good player. So as much as I think United need to, as much as Arsenal have other players, I think they need to definitely look at Max Dalman as a serious talent. They can't afford to make the mistake in terms of what happened with, well, not mistake as I should say actually, but as not, I can't remember what I was saying, but as much as Max Dalman, they can't make that mistake in Ranieri. I think it's something that you have to play at Arsenal, continue to play. But yeah, let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you want me to do more, I can do a part 2.